everybody. Welcome back to the Convo Couch. I am Fiorella Isabel, and Jonny is going to accompany me on the show today. What's up, Jonny?
Hey.
Jonny. Ones, twos, and threes. Okay. So let's get started because we have an interview at 3, which is going to be on election integrity with Clint Curtis. And we wanted to do a little show before then. So Bernie Sanders has won Colorado. He literally won the state of Colorado way after he dropped out, way after everything that's happened, which is, it's good. Colorado has, as many of you know, gone heavily for Bernie Sanders in 2016 and in 2020, obviously, as well. Now, this is why we talk about election integrity, because election integrity is at the core of all the things we want to accomplish. We want Medicare for all, Green New Deal. We want Assange to be pardoned. We want all of these things, but we cannot get those things if our votes don't count. We saw what happened in Kentucky. We went over that on Wednesday. And even in Colorado, the way the math works in our election system, the way these things happen, just doesn't make any sense. So Bernie Sanders officially won the primary by over 12%. Somehow he ends up being with only 24 delegates, while Joe Biden ends up with 26 delegates. And this person named Remstar asks, are we going to let them get away with this? And the answer to that question is yes, we're going to let them get away with it, because they've been getting away with it for years. This has been happening since before we were born. And it's going to continue to happen because not enough people pay attention to it. And as you can see, Bernie Sanders had 352,316 votes, and he ended up with 24 delegates, whereas Joe Biden had 235,091 votes. He ended up with 26 delegates.
Now, fam, some people might be like, well, maybe that was just a typo, or, it must be updated now, right?
Yeah.
Well, I actually went to the site. Here's Politico. Here's the site. Last updated June 26th at 12:54. Let me update it again. Okay, June 26th at 12:54. Bernie Sanders, 37%, 24 delegates. Biden, 26 delegates with 24.7%. Interestingly, Michael Bloomberg came in third, Elizabeth Warren in fourth, and Tulsi Gabbard in fifth, which was interesting because everybody else was below that.
Yeah.
But, as you can see, they still have the delegates.
Yeah. This is my firm belief. I believe Bernie Sanders actually won this primary. But due to fraction magic, due to the machinery that we will talk about with Clint, because people think it's some sort of joke. Like it's like a magic trick. I don't even like the name fraction magic because it implies that it's some sort of like trick. It's actually really easy. If you have the source code, you can go and change the numbers, pretty much switch them. And it's a threshold so small that it makes people don't question it. Like if the threshold is too large, then obviously it's going to come into question. But if it's done in a way, and it's all it is a program, it's a computer program. And that's what I believe happened in New Hampshire. Because even with New Hampshire, Bernie Sanders should have won that handedly. Michigan, Texas, California. I mean, even with him winning California, those numbers were off. And anyway, so this is just, again, I don't know how this works. If anybody knows how he could possibly have less delegates, maybe there's a weighted thing that goes on. I know that happened in Iowa where it was weighted different. Rural counties were weighted.
It could have just been political, though, because what I'm seeing on Google when I see Colorado results is that they have 25 delegates for Bernie, and then Joe Biden has 18.
Yeah. I mean, it could have just been Politico. But then again, that just drives me insane. Politico is one of the most respected.
Supposedly leftist, right?
Supposedly leftist, but it's liberal more than anything. But it's one of the most respected outlets when it comes to politics, when it comes to elections. They're getting paid the big bucks to do journalism, to do research. Why does it vary depending on which outlet you go? Why does the mainstream media trick you into, because people are going to see this and be like, okay, Joe Biden, like it doesn't matter at this point, right? It doesn't matter. Bernie Sanders is out of the race. Joe Biden is the nominee now. He's going to accept it at the convention, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But again, it shouldn't vary. That's the whole point. We should all have control over those numbers, those tabulations. We should have access to it completely. The public needs to be aware of what the actual numbers are. And I'm talking about it now because it just proves that even if Bernie Sanders wins, the image, even if he was winning, the imagery that went out there, even when he was winning, was like, oh, it's a fluke. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. They frame it however they want.
Fam, now I go to the New York Times, and it also has this exact same thing. It's 24 delegates for Bernie, 26 for Biden. Right.
So somebody put up a tweet the other day where it was like, do you guys all know that the majority of the media outlets get all their information, all their numbers, especially related to elections, from the AP, from the Associated Press? That's like the one center that gets it. The Associated Press has 25 and 18, I believe, but they are the ones that have get the majority of the information, and then it goes everywhere else for news in general. So again, we don't have free media. We have us, the independent media that don't even, get considered the same way and regarded as CNN and New York Times and the AP. But then you have all of these folks that pretty much are the same. Propaganda for the establishment. So it is a state of authoritarianism. I agree with what Howie was saying. I mean, fascism, we're on our way. We're well on our way. I mean, we have fascist people. They just haven't been able to implement full-on fascism here, but we're on our way. Okay. Anything else you want to say about that?
Nope. It's just ridiculous, and fuck. I mean, I don't know if looking at this doesn't tell you that there's not democracy in our nation, then I don't know what will. And then, if you see that, then it's like, all right, well, what do I do, right, to fix this? Because we can't vote now. So what's the next option? Right.
If you can't vote, if your voice is, especially when you're telling the young generations to vote, it matters. When then they go vote, and then they have to wait 8 hours, and Ariana Grande has to send people pizza, or she sent food trucks and stuff, because they're waiting there for hours because there's only one polling center in the most populous city of Louisville, Kentucky. What do you want people to do? What you're telling them to vote while showing them that you don't give a damn about their vote. That's the hypocrisy of this culture, and that is why young people go on the internet and look at funny videos, because what else are they going to do when the world is it's fucked, so to speak. I mean, for lack of a better word. Johnny, I'm going to add Marianne Williamson's response to Bernie, because the next topic we're going to talk about is Bernie Sanders somehow thinking that there it is. Bernie Sanders somehow thinking that 10% is enough of a military budget cut for 10%, just for comparison. Yesterday I had on Holly Hawkins, and he was talking about cutting the military by 70%. I mean, that let's be realistic, right? They're not going to allow it, even 10%. Where we live right now, we have no power, right? So here's Bernie. Let's listen to what he says. He says, let me just read this. He says, why do we spend more on the military than the next 11 nations combined? I have a better idea. Cut Pentagon spending by 10% and invest it in the fight to end homelessness, hunger, and poverty in the richest country on earth. I agree with everything he said. The percentage needs to be higher. Let's see what he says.
Well, that's only for the Pentagon, right? So maybe I think I saw another tweet where he said to cut the defense more.
Yeah.
Dysfunctional healthcare system, or addressing the grotesque levels of income and wealth inequality in our country. Now is the time for change, real change. And when we talk about real change, it is incredible to me the degree to which Congress continues to ignore our bloated $740 billion defense budget, which has gone up by over $100 billion since Trump has been in office. Year after year, Democrats and Republicans who disagree on almost everything come together with minimal debate to support an exploding Pentagon budget, which is now higher than the next 11 countries combined. Now higher than the next 11 countries combined, and which represents more than half of our discretionary spending. Incredibly, after adjusting for inflation, we are now spending more on the military than we did during the height of the Cold War, when we faced a major adversary in the Soviet Union, or during the wars in Vietnam and Korea. This extraordinary level of military spending comes at a time when the Department of Defense is the only agency of our federal government that has not been able to pass an independent audit, when defense contractors are making enormous profits while paying their CEOs exorbitant compensation packages, and when the so-called war on terror will end up costing us some $6 trillion. I believe that this is a moment in history where it would be a very good idea.
Okay, so here's the thing with Bernie. Bernie is a guy that, and the reason I think he said 10% is because he wants it to pass. Because he's very realistic and aware of what the state we're in that sense. Like, he doesn't think anything more will pass. But here's the thing. If we ask for a little bit, they usually push back with even less. So I think we should aim bigger. And I get where he's coming from. But I mean, just look at how much money we spent. He even said we combined more than the next 11 countries combined. That is disgusting. If we don't demand something like cut it by 40%, 50%, we're not going to get anywhere near anything. This is the thing. We have no power. He's just trying to work with what he has. This is why I don't think the power is going to come from the electorate. It's just not. I just don't believe that. Marianne Williamson also said, why only 10%? Because it just seems like a joke when he's talking about how much money we have spent already. I mean, we're talking about trillions of dollars that we spend on the military. And we also fund Israel and Saudi Arabia, by the way. So we're talking about that much. And we're talking about what the military-industrial complex encompasses. It encompasses everything within it. So you're talking about equipment, the people that you're sending out there, in every single country, you have to take that into account. You have to take into account every little thing. It's a very bloated military budget.
Yeah.
So, again, I see where he's coming from, but it's not enough anymore. We can't be asking for scraps anymore. I think if you're going to ask for scraps, you're going to get nothing. So,
also, did you see Jen Perlman in the comments saying, start at 60% and negotiate from there?
Yeah. Yeah. And Joan Perlman, of course, is somebody that she's still running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, so you guys should check her out in Florida. Another important race that I would love to unseat. So, fam, speaking of Bernie Sanders, this section is something that is kind of personal, and it's also personal to a lot of people who fought really hard for Bernie Sanders. Now, in 2016, the delegate process was entirely different. Obviously, Bernie went all the way to the convention. Delegates were not told they couldn't speak to media. Delegates were not muzzled in any way, shape, or form about not speaking against Hillary Clinton. They tried to do that, but it didn't happen. Now, the DNC Convention let out a recent press release where they pretty much confirmed that it will take place in Milwaukee. It will take place in August, but it'll be virtual for the delegates and for everybody else. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. The convention will engage and unite more Americans than ever before. Delegates will conduct official party business without risking public health. The DNCC announced today their convention plan to broadcast from Milwaukee and across the nation in a convention geared to reach out to all Americans. The DNCC reiterated that the Democratic Party's commitment to holding a convention that would protect public health while transforming the convention experience for delegates and viewers. Convention planners said that the host city, Milwaukee, would anchor the events for the week, and that programming would include both live broadcasts and curated content from Milwaukee and other satellite cities, locations, landmarks across the country. Okay. So, over here it says Vice President Biden intends to proudly accept his party's nomination in Milwaukee and take the next step forward towards making Donald Trump a one-term president. Okay. So the whole point of a convention, in case you guys don't know, is to demand, if you have another candidate there, that if he hasn't officially gotten the numbers to be the nominee, you would have Bernie Sanders there kind of contesting to get whatever he could get to make sure that Biden adopts a certain platform. At this point, Joe Biden doesn't need Bernie Sanders or his delegates. Joe Biden has clinched the nomination. On top of that, the delegates that were chosen because they did not put out in their social media anything that said, do not vote for Joe Biden, anything that was against Joe Biden, anything like that. They were chosen a long time ago. Only people who were not vocal about their disdain of Joe Biden. Those were the delegates that were chosen. Okay. They just picked the at-large delegates, by the way, who were also people that were not vocal about not liking Joe Biden because he's not progressive. On top of all of that, there was they had to sign an NDA and a social media contract where they were not allowed to talk or speak ill of Joe Biden or the Democratic establishment as delegates. So on top of that, there was that. What the hell is the point of even having a convention with all that? And now it's going to be virtual. So forget any sort of protesting, any sort of organizing, any sort of anything, because now it's virtual. So all the people that were trying to convince themselves that oh yes, we're going to push Joe Biden to the left because Bernie Sanders is wonderful, and all of us, we're just going to work really hard and sit on a board with John Kerry and Simone Sanders and a bunch of neoliberals who don't give a crap and don't have a conscience, and they're magically going to change their mind and accept Medicare for all. I'm sorry, but that is naive. It is naive at best. And the fact is, you're not going to push Joe Biden left because you're not going to push Big Pharma. You're not going to push the insurance companies. You're not going to push the oil money lobbyists. You're not going to push any of these people the Democratic establishment takes money from away from existence. You're not going to push them away by sitting in a round table and just feeling good that with your ego that you are a Bernie delegate and that somehow that's going to make a change. I'm not trying to discourage people from fighting. Actually, I think the fighting is not going to happen in that room. It's not going to happen in the electorate. It's not going to happen with Joe Biden. The fighting is happening outside People are organizing and building, and we need people to focus on that. Obviously support those progressives like Charles Booker and all of the people that are running. But as far as the change in the electorate, that's going to be a very slow change. We don't have any power when it comes to the presidential nomination. We don't have any power when it comes down to anything right now within the electorate. We just don't. Our votes don't even count right now. Like, our system is so corrupt. What do you do when your votes don't count? When you're being silenced, you have to take action outside of the electorate. And America is not used to doing that. They're so used to just voting and thinking that it's enough. It's not enough. Voting is the start. And it's just so ridiculous to me to think that this was ever going to accomplish anything. And do you have anything to say on that really quickly?
Yeah, I mean, they totally hurt us. The NSA and Deep State totally hurt us when we were like, we're going to Milwaukee no matter what. No matter what, we're going.
Yeah.
And now they literally made it so there's no reason to go. There's no reason to go to Milwaukee. I'm curious about everyone who bought hotel rooms and everything like that, about how they're getting a refund. Yeah, it's really ridiculous. You see the last segment we just did, the election delegates. You've seen our work here in LA. You've seen all these protests happening. So it's time to get to the streets, basically, and demand change. And if they don't give that, then the next step is I don't know what the next step is, but there's always ways that you can help. Like go out to your local community and just drive around and see if there are protests going on. Listen to what the protesters saying. Listen to what they're saying, and support if you believe in their message. And there's various ways to support. There's the free ways. You can follow their social media. You can share their content. You can donate money. You can bring water bottles to protesters. You can bring food, snacks to protesters. You can bring clothes. I don't know. You're a swimming coach and you have extra goggles. Bring some goggles so they can get tear gases. There's so many ways that you can help. So that's all I have to say about that.
And I just want to point out this fact that according to organizers and regular protocol of the convention, official business would be to approve the platform and nominate president and vice president, meaning Joe Biden and his chosen running mate. That is all these delegates are there to do. So if they thought they were going to negotiate the most progressive platform in history, first of all, I don't know why you would think that. Joe Biden is a Republican. You're not going to. And people kept sending me this article. Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders' California forces want Ro Khanna instead of Gavin Newsom. And people were pushing that as if it was some sort of wonderful thing. Like, oh, Ro Khanna instead of Gavin Newsom. Ro Khanna is a weak progressive. It doesn't matter. If it's Ro Khanna, if it's Gavin Newsom, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get anything out of it. Why are we so focused on this when we could be directing all of our attention on organizing with what's going on outside? Jonny and I, he has a video you already said it's to release.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We're going to show a little bit of it, but there are things happening right now that are uniting everything together, because we are about to experience another 2008 economic collapse, like worse than what it was before. And so people are organizing for that. So again, that is a waste of time. I don't want to hear about pushing Biden. You're not going to push Biden when the money interests are there and he's taking their money. That's what people don't realize. The money interests are there and he's taking their money. Unless you get rid of all the oil lobbyists, the big pharma bros, the insurance companies, all of these people, you're not going to get what you want, because that's everything else is talk. Talk is cheap. He can say, oh, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to get Medicare for all. He hasn't even said that. He doesn't need to, because they take you for granted because you keep telling them that you're going to vote for them no matter what they do to you. It is an abusive relationship, and that relationship has to end. There's no other way of going about it. And kind of just to go off on that note, Nancy Pelosi is really upset. She's very, very upset because Donald Trump said he wants to cancel the ACA. And she let out a whole statement on why she's so upset at Donald Trump. And she said President Trump and the Republicans campaigned to rip away the protections and benefits of the Affordable Care Act in the middle of the coronavirus crisis is an act of unfathomable cruelty. First of all, I can't even read the rest of that because the rest of that is bullshit. Did the ACA help some people? Yeah. But we're in the situation we're in because even with both houses, Barack Obama had both the Senate, the House of Representatives. With both houses, he still failed to get Medicare for all. Anything resembling that. The ACA was written by healthcare lobbyists. It was entirely written by them, and you can tell because it's basically the same corrupt system we've had. Some people were helped by it. It did extend the age to 26. That was a good thing. But other than that, we're talking about Nancy Pelosi chastising Donald Trump for getting rid of the ACA. Instead of doing what a real leader would do, what a real progressive that wants actual change, doing what she's been talking about since the late 1980s, giving everybody universal health care, Medicare for all, single-payer health care, whatever the hell you want to call it, during a pandemic, because she mentions he wants to do this during a coronavirus crisis. It's unfathomable cruelty. It's unfathomable cruelty that they haven't given us health care during a pandemic. Do you not realize how ridiculous that is? They gave one $1,200 payment, no health care during a pandemic. Yet they tell Americans that this is a very serious pandemic and that we need to take care of each other and blah, blah, blah. We're in this together. No, we're not. We're not in this together. They don't give a damn what happens to you. They don't give a damn. All those people in New York, everybody, all these people are going to have bills upon bills from having to be in the doctor for weeks. Nobody, who's going to pay for that? I mean, it is disgusting to me that Nancy Pelosi even has the audacity to get on there to criticize Donald Trump when she has approved the majority of his military budgets. The majority has really provided no opposition to his economic, dismissal of the American people during this crisis. They're no opposition. They're not an opposition party. They're a complacency party. They're there to wear the rainbow hat and pretend they're better, and that's it. They're just for show. They're for show, and this whole thing is a giant sham. I think it's just fake. I think this is all fraudulent. Like the way they talk about Trump, the way Trump talks about the Democrats, it just keeps your attention on which team am I going to pick this time? Instead of focusing on the fact that they're all trash and we need to take them out, all of them, every single corrupt establishment politician.
Holy shit. Someone in our chat just said that their deductible is $8,000. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Trump, do away with the ACA. Give us Medicare for all. If Trump were smart, all he would have to do is say, guess what? I'm going to call this Trump Care and give people health care for the next few years until the coronavirus. I don't know. Anything. If he were smart, if he were, or if somebody was advising him to actually win, that's what would need to happen. During crises, Americans have always gotten something. Right? After the war, we got something. We during the 1920s, after the Depression, what did we get? We got the New Deal. We've always gotten something. We got Social Security after the war, after World War II. We got something. People demanded something back then. What are we demanding? We have to focus on what we need, what we're going to demand, and demand it, and not stop until we get it. That's the only thing we can do right now at this point. When they cripple your vote, when you have no power in the electorate, that's what you can do. And it's just, to me, it's just the ultimate hypocrisy that Nancy Pelosi can get on a pulpit and decide that it's so cruel that Trump is cutting the ACA when the ACA is still making people pay an $8,000 deductible during a pandemic. That's what we need to highlight to everybody. It doesn't matter. Nothing will fundamentally change under Biden. So what's the point of having a president? You know, it's just it's a sad state of affairs right now. It really, really is.
We don't have any super chats, fam.
All right, no super chats, Johnny. So you want to go to your section?
Yes.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had to push fam out the house to get out there to cover this stuff with me. But she did great. We went out Tuesday, June 24th, to a bunch of protests, because there's always protests going on over here.
Every day.
So the first one that we went was actually local in Pasadena. It was on Fair Oaks Avenue, and it was about a business owner. And there was a boycott. And they were boycotting the business because we find out that the business owner had said racist remarks. Now, today, actually, I found out the remarks that the business owner made. So let's watch that real quick.
Totally offensive. Get the fuck out of here.
That is not offensive.
It's offensive to me.
No.
It's offensive to me.
Okay, then go outside.
I'm not touching your car.
Okay.
Get it out of here.
You're racist.
Oh, now I'm racist? You're racist.
No, I just asked
Get that car out of here.
Why does Black Lives Matter
All
bother you?
lives matter.
Yes, of course they do.
You're Japanese.
So
Do you
if
know
all-
your history?
Yes, so
Do
all
you know your Japanese history?
If all lives matter,
I'm a
then
Jew.
Black Lives Matter
I'm a
as
Jew.
well.
Do you know my history?
Yeah, and your life matters.
That's completely disgusting.
That is not saying just Black lives. It's saying all lives matter, including
It
Black
does
lives.
not. It says Black lives matter.
Yes, as
All
in-
lives matter. Get that shit out of
You
here.
know,
You're disgusting.
why are we disgusting? Black Lives Matter does not mean just Black lives. It's all lives matter.
Fam, your thoughts on that?
All right, we have to post that because that is disgusting. So as you guys know, the other day, and I posted it on Twitter, but we went out and it's literally really close to our house, and so it's a laundromat, and they were protesting. Protesters were out there, Black Lives Matter protests, and others were out there protesting against the store owners because we were told they went to this person and complained about their bumper sticker on their car. I thought it was just like a little complaint. That was a full-on rant.
No,
like
that
all
was...
lives matter. I'm just going to go ahead and explain it for the 9th millionth time.
Yes.
Black Lives Matter is a thing because obviously in the United States, Black lives have been taken for granted and haven't mattered for a really long time. Obviously, everybody's lives matter. Whatever color you are, whatever race you are, whatever religion. Obviously. But highlighting Black Lives Matter is a thing because of people like that. Because people are being shot at alarming numbers. There is not an equality that we have achieved yet. So that's what people are highlighting. Black Lives Matter. Just reminding you, by the way, Black Lives Matter. It's not saying that you as a white person don't matter. And I don't understand, other than innate racism, how that is so difficult for people to grasp. I just do not get it. You don't have to like the organization. You don't have to like the whole thing. But to make it about yourself and get that defensive means there's something there that you're not okay with. You're not okay with highlighting the fact that these people are being murdered. You're more angry at the saying. That, to me, it just shows a lack of empathy. It shows a lack of intelligence, too. So, go ahead, fam.
Yeah, I mean, that argument he was making is just like, it's really bad. It's really bad argument. Like, it's really, it misses the whole point. When we say Black Lives Matter, we're saying we're standing in solidarity with our black brothers and sisters. And yes, they're saying, does my life matter? Because we're getting killed. All these videos, you see it, the disgusting behavior of the police. Do you think my life matters? Are you going to do something about it? And yes, I'm there. I'm right there with you. That's why I say Black Lives Matter. Of course, all life matters. But yes, Black Lives Matters at the same time.
It's like your house being on fire or you having cancer. Like let's say I have cancer. Everybody else, and I'm dying of cancer. And you're like, yeah, fuck cancer. And then someone's not going to come up and say, oh, well, I have PTSD. Does my life not matter? I mean, that's literally what that guy did. Like, it's so stupid. And I get so angry that I even have to come down and explain it that way with fucking people have tried explaining it with stick figures, with videos, with memes. It's not about people not understanding it. It's about racism. So, I mean, it's just, it is also about the fact that this country has failed everybody economically. I mean, that's very true. Everybody. There are poor white people that have never gotten anything in this world because this country hasn't taken care of them. That is why Donald Trump is president, because the Democratic Party, the People's Party, supposedly, failed the Midwest and the South. They failed to provide work for these people through disastrous trade deals like NAFTA, and they never forgot that. So that is true. But people are highlighting that Black Lives Matter because they're the ones being murdered by cops. And we've been covering this, and we're seeing the disdain, how they treat even just protesters, anybody, compared to how they treat the people that they're protecting at the freaking white supremacist rallies. I mean, I saw the difference in treatment firsthand. It's disgusting. The police is an arm of the oligarchy.
And they should be treating all humans the same.
Exactly.
They totally treat blonde white women completely different than really dark black men. Okay? That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, if we I'm going to play a little bit of this video. You guys can watch this on True Rebel Network, which is my channel where I do all the editing for all these 4K videos. And YouTube's totally suppressing me already now. They're totally suppressing me because I don't come up in the search results. It's
insane.
It's really but let's watch this real quick. Yeah.
So yeah, all we're doing is boycotting this establishment, and we've been our constitutional rights, y'all. Oh, they coming to escort the lady out.
So the wife is in the shop.
Yeah.
And it looks like with her daughter and then a worker. So the shop was operating, and they've been boycotting it all day on Tuesday the 24th.
They get y'all right here for nothing.
Hey, y'all. Hey, why do you think that black people are not going to hurt you? Black people are not going to hurt you. Where's the Convention on Earth?
Hey, she don't need no escort. Yeah, walk her this way. She don't need no escort. Hey, if you get what's respect, you wouldn't need an escort.
I said you were safe. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
I'm not against you.
That's muted for copyright purposes, but yeah, there she goes. She's in the Prius, and they're about to leave. People, yelling at her, but no one's violent, right? No one's violent at this protest. So here it comes back in.
Hold on, we out here feeding our community. We don't even know y'all. Who are you guys? We got new police coming into our community, acting like they ain't Gestapo. How you doing? We've been here all our life. What's your name? I've been doing crime longer than you've been officers. Hey, get up out of here. We don't even know y'all. Get up out of here. And you know what she said earlier? She said, we got 2 years worth of savings. I hope y'all got 2 years worth of boycott. That's what she said. We got 2 years worth of savings. They got 2 years worth of savings on our dollars. That's what she said. I hope y'all got 2 years worth of boycott. So we gonna show her. It's like, right? And fuck the police.
That's awesome. I'm glad you found that, because people were like, oh, well, maybe she was scared because they were trying to find excuses when I posted it on Twitter.
She shouldn't. exactly what Jasmine Abdullah, I think is the correct way to pronounce her name, said is, why are you afraid of black people? Black people are not going to hurt you. They're just there boycotting and protesting. I mean, I get it if you're scared, but I mean, it looks bad. Why not try to have a conversation with them, right? Or just sit there and listen to them.
Yeah, that's
all
what people want. They want to be heard.
That's all people want. Like, and that's how you diffuse situations. You sit there, you listen, you have an open mind, you try to fix the problem.
Absolutely. We have a super chat contribution from Al Cram 62. Justice Dem win U.S. New York District 12, 14, and one other. So in November, can we also vote for Greens and U.S. New York 2, 4, 19, 23, and 26? I see no reason not to. You all keep saying run for lower offices. I agree. I mean, I don't see a problem with if the candidate is good or if whatever, even like, you know, vote for them. If they follow the progressive agenda that you care about, sure. I think voting for offices is still important. However, I think it's diminished because of the lack of integrity in our elections. And we're going to go over that in a little bit as to what exactly that means and which documentaries you guys should be watching, because there's lots of them. There's a lot of proof. A lot of people always ask me, what proof? So much.
Our guest here in about 40 minutes is going to, he had a documentary made for on him, and we're going to show all that. So let's watch quick, fam.
Yeah.
So after leaving that protest, we were trying to go to the Jackie Lacey protest in downtown LA.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean they. So I think that was a Jackie Lacey protest, or what was left of it, because it was at 3 p.m. and then this was around like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And I guess they marched on the highway. They blocked highway for a little bit, and then they got off. So they're just disrupting traffic to voice their opinion.
Yeah, it's a nonviolent form of protest, right? It's a little bit. It's not like just sitting down and protesting in the streets. You're taking it up a notch. It's still nonviolent. It's like it's classic protesting 101. you stop traffic to make sure people hear you. Most people there weren't even upset. They were part of the protest or joined on in, and then they left. That's the smart thing to do. Keep moving.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. Keep moving, keep moving. Now, again, if you guys want to see the full video of that, it's on True Rebel Network. Go find that. It's in link in the description is in the bottom. Last thing is, fam, breaking news. Breaking fucking news.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here. Well, you heard it on True Rebel Network because I released it.
Yes.
If you had followed True Rebel Network, if you were subscribed to it, you'd hear it first. But Convo Couch, basically, bigger platform, revealing it first, that there is an occupation in LA City Hall. And we went and saw it. We should just watch it.
Yeah, let's just watch it. It's similar but more organized than CHOP, according to its organizer. All right. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good. My name is Fiorella. What is your name?
My name is James Butler.
Butler. Okay, awesome. Nice to meet you too. So what is the Black Future Project?
Yeah, so the Black Future Project is an Occupy, like similar to like an Occupy Wall Street. It's a 24/7 protest camp. And here we are working to create a community that we wish to see in the future inside of a community that we already exist in. So it's a diverse group of people, and we have 3 demands that we want to be met. And we're working with a bunch of lawyers and things like that, and together as a group to draft these bills and submit them. And while we're doing all of that as well, we're also planning protests and protesting every single week.
What exactly are your demands?
Yeah, so we're going to adopt the People's Budget, which is something that everyone should check out. It's absolutely amazing. And then we're also focusing on abolishing the Los Angeles School Police Department in schools, because that's really detrimental to our communities, and that education, the prison pipeline is really, really bad. And us being young millennials, like, school's very important, especially me. My dad is a Black historian, but I got adopted into that family when I was 15 years old. So I didn't even know the history of my, like, Black life. Exactly how it is, because all these history books are written by white cisgender men, which is a problem to systemic racism. And the kids are young. They need to know what's going on. Our schools try to remain politically correct, but the policies and the political system of America is so incorrect, and it's wrong. So you cannot be PC about this stuff, or else you're just going to sit comfortably in your ignorance.
How does economics tie to, say, the Black Lives Matter protest? Because what we're seeing in California is high rents. We're seeing a lot of people not paying their rent. We're also seeing a lot of people be laid off. We're also seeing that not everybody's getting all the unemployment from the government. How does this affect people of color, specifically the Black community?
Well, capitalism, economics as a whole has affected us. Like, from the beginning of time, back in the slave trade, that was what it was. It was the introduction to capitalism. They stole all of this stuff because they found a land full of riches. And they say that they brought Black people over here, but we were already here. Even Native Americans, those are Black people. Those are indigenous people to the land. So it affects us systemically for our whole entire life. The coronavirus made it even worse. And then, yeah, so like, I think it's just the whole system as a whole. You know what I mean? They stole us because they saw the riches, the oil, the gold, the melanin, the ink, the dances, the music instruments, all of that, and they saw money. So that's how it all began.
And how are you guys getting people to join this cause? Because this cause is a step further than police brutality. Now you're taking in economics, and a lot of people, obviously, of all ethnicities are affected by that. Are you guys looking to also get allies as well to join your cause to make this grow?
Yeah, that's our goal. We also have a lot of homeless allies. As long as you're not violent and you're not having drug use and you're adding to the conversation, that's such an important voice. We offer a tent to those who maybe don't have one or can't afford one or who are homeless, and then we offer them food, we feed them, keep them fed and everything, and they help us draft the bills. They're learning research skills, study skills that they may or may not have already had. We're really trying to create the future that we wish to see. So all is welcome. welcome here, black, white, gay, straight, whatever. But it's a movement, and you have to be willing to fight the movement. And there's no hold bar over here. That's one thing. I hate the word radical, but that's not even it. We don't mind getting detained. It's our First Amendment right to protest. So if you're going to arrest us for protesting on public property, arrest us. We'll just make your job really hard. We drill here. We get prepared for protests. And it's serious. You got to be serious because we're over this. Like, this isn't a joke to us. 3-4 days of protesting is not enough. We study like Hong Kong protests. We study Paris protests because they do not stop protesting until something is done. People are stopping. People are losing momentum because the media is done talking about it and Instagram's done talking about it. That does not do anything. A 5% budget cut is nothing to them. We need more, and we won't stop until we get it.
Have you seen what's happened in Seattle with the Seattle Autonomous Zone or CHOP, Seattle Occupied Protest Zone?
Yeah, the shooting.
Is this similar where you're trying to create like a zone where people are peace and you're trying to kind of like draw attention to the economics of it?
Yeah, we've been talking about an autonomous zone a lot. We're just way more organized, I feel like. No shade to Seattle, but we're really, really like focused on the organization. We have 2 meetings a day. We have drills. We want to keep it organized, and we have a vetting system like to make sure you're cool. Like, come spend a day with the family and see if you want to set up. Some occupations are just like come one, come all. Anyone just come put your tent because they're kind of just fighting for like the government to see them, but we're fighting for something very specific. So we want to make sure you're here for the right reasons because race is a really hard topic to cover.
One last thing. What do you say to people that say stopping traffic is not peaceful protests? What do you say to people that say that you guys are being violent? A lot of the mainstream media has talked about how these protests are violent. What do you say to those people?
We've kind of dropped the word peaceful over here because we agree. That's not that peaceful. It's honking, it's loud, it's all of that. But we're non-violent protesters. We do not come with any violence. The only thing that we come with is love and peace in our mind that we have changed. But I can understand how they're like, this isn't peaceful. I led a protest in Beverly Hills called Wake Their Rich Asses Up, a peaceful protest. That wasn't peaceful because we were loud as shit. You know what I mean? And the violence only comes, especially if we're there, if we're on the front lines. If you ever see me on the front lines, the only violence comes from the police. We will never be violent. We'll be prepared, and we'll now have our gear and stuff to be prepared. But we've tried peaceful. We've tried just coming bare arms, showing our body, and we've had people get shot at, people have got things dislocated, people having seizures and more. So we have to come protected and ready because they're very not violent.
Thank you very much.
James Butler, didn't you?
Yes.
You definitely spoke at the West Hollywood.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, I remember.
Yes, that was me.
So fire.
Thank you so much.
What a coincidence that we find you out here.
Right, and like this whole camp is now.
Are you leading this whole thing?
Yeah, I kind of started this whole thing.
Is this affiliated with BLM or no?
No. We're not bootlickers. We're raw. I'm sorry, BLM, but if you tell everyone to go home at 6 p.m., that's you working with the law. How I can, like I said in Hollywood, my hand is out asking for things for my community. And until you put them in my hand, I can't take a knee with you. I cannot go home. I cannot listen to your rules. Civil disobedience is the only way that you really get things done.
Yeah, you have to make them uncomfortable.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks, y'all.
So there's a lot of interesting things he said there.
Yeah.
He said that they're not bootlickers like BLM. So those people in our chats who are like, oh, but BLM is a neoliberal organization or whatever, he kind of agrees. It's
interesting.
It's very interesting. This
I
is
don't
like,
think he's saying that. He's not necessarily
he's
saying
not
they're
necessarily
neoliberal, but
saying that.
he's saying they're still working within the system.
Exactly.
Right? He said, I don't even want to use the word radical, but I guess that's what it is to some people. He's saying if BLM tells people to go home at 6 p.m., that's not enough. We have to go against the law because the law itself is wrong. I tend to agree with him, and I think this kid is onto the right thing, uniting people behind the economics of how this is affecting not just their community, but getting allies, working with the homeless who are directly affected by the lack of governance from these officials. And so that to me is the next step that I was looking for. That is what, and I wanted it to be somebody like that because it has to come from somewhere along like the anti-police brutality situation, but then it has to be these people saying, let's fight for our demands and be specific as to what we're going to get. That is the next step in this movement. And we're seeing a lot of these things pop up, and I do see more organization coming from him, because the Seattle Autonomous Zone was not, because it was autonomous, it was more like less central, like they didn't have one specific person speaking on their behalf, which is good and bad. The bad is it's more disorganized. The good, it's you know, it's not one person doing it. So I think it's interesting. We'll see what happens with that, fam.
Yeah, I mean, here's a leader, guys. I mean, look, this guy, James Butler, I really like him, and I'm gonna show you guys their Instagram here. So Black Future Project is what that's called. BFP is a 24/7 protest space in Grand Park, a peaceful, safe space to strategize the defeat of systemic racism. You can support them by following them, you know, getting more followers. And then they also have Cash App and Venmo. I actually Venmoed them $27 because what they were doing is he was taking cues from those, what's it called? The Hong Kong protests.
Yeah. And from,
Tomorrow we're protesting in Beverly Hills, and we got you guys protected. We got all this foam bulletproof stuff, these signs, because they ain't blowing us up this time.
He's taking the next steps in merging this to what it needs to be, which is an occupation against the status quo and also the economics of it. He was also one of the people that went after the rich people in Beverly Hills, because he understands that here the LAPD likes to protect those wealthy neighborhoods, but the moment, you know, there's something in the poor neighborhoods, they don't really give a damn, but they will surely make sure to kick you out of Beverly Hills, because the rich people, those are the ones they care about. He's attacking the economics of it. It's a nice little shift there. I'm really excited about what this means. Even just the act of starting this is telling me that that's on the consciousness of people, and that they're realizing that there's more to this than just the arm of the oligarchy, but the oligarchy itself as well. So.
Exactly. And he's protesting there tonight. The reason why they're preparing themselves is because only when you go to the rich areas is when they start deploying the rubber bullets and the tear gas and everything. So they're preparing themselves to have their voices heard and get some real change here, because who controls this nation? The people with the money.
Exactly.
So here we are.
And he
tonight,
that.
We are going to be there.
We are going to be there.
I'm going to try and live stream, but I feel like they're going to do the jammer thing that they always do.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do, guys. But
we
are going to be there tonight.
Footage.
The rich, again, we have to make these people uncomfortable. And he's understanding that. These people are understanding that. Taking this to the next step. Working with other organizations. That is the forming of a general strike movement. It's an occupation right now. And we're going to see where this takes us. One super chat contribution from Michael Karash. From an economic perspective, we have to frame the issue in terms the rich will relate to. Quote, investment, specifically social investment and investment in the American peoples. Hashtag pitchforks. Exactly.
They're too greedy. Pasta was just telling me about how in Boca Raton that they he used to be a server over there or something, that there's literally like $12 million rich and they only tip like 10%, 12%. I tip more, and I'm in where let me tell you, we're not well off. And let me also say that we have a really bad sickness in this country, and it's greed. It's greed, and what drives the greed? It's capitalism. So we got to abolish capitalism. We need socialism, and we need to fight for it. We need to get out on the streets. We need to be at everybody's houses, all the rich people's houses. I'm telling you, you can support by giving supplies, because once the people start attacking the rich, once they start protesting the rich, the cops are going to be released to the rich. So you can give them goggles, whatever, oven mitts, so they can grab fucking the tear gases, whatever you can think of. You can find your local
hardware
James
store.
Butler to support, and or just go there and document it yourself. Now, I want to say, fams, thank you so much for all these super chats and all the support you've been giving us. I don't know if you noticed, but the camera is new. We were able to buy that, well, mostly because of unemployment. But the microphone, that was strictly from GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And it's a wireless microphone. It's a amazing microphone, and I just want to thank you, fams, because you're giving us the means to give you this great production and to keep us going.
You're giving us the means for this production. Get it? Socialist jokes. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. You continue supporting us through Patreon. Check out our ROKFIN. We have obviously all our content on there as well. We're going to take this down and chop it up for you guys in shorter segments, and you can always watch it if you're a Patreon member or part of the ROKFIN crew. So we will be right back with Clint.
This guy has an amazing story.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. Like, this story should be blasted everywhere instead of fucking Kim Kardashian.
Here. All right, guys. See you in a little bit. Convo out.
Peace. Thank you.
Bye.